It is a beautiful morning in southern Appalachia. Already warming up nicely. It was, below freezing this morning. We had a frost, but it's already warming up, and I'm sure I'll be taking my jacket off once I start working. Matt and I are going to clean out the greenhouse today. Another chore we left unfinished at the end of last year's growing season. We just left it a mess, so we need to clean it out. Lots of weeds and stuff that we're going to have to rake out. I don't remember if I shared with you or not, but for my birthday last August, Matt got me some tables to put in here. So all these tables are broke down and we just kind of have them propped up, so we're going to get rid of all of them. Before we put anything back in here, though, we're finally going to do something on the ground, put down a layer of, I'm not sure what we'll do. I think it'll be gravel, but maybe something under that to try to prevent the weeds from growing up and to give us a better floor in here. But today our main goal is just to actually get it all cleaned out, get it ready for that, and hopefully we can tackle that part next week. There's a few other things we hope to do today. I want to do the flower bed that's out there that I told you about in one of our recent videos, where all the Japanese anemone have just taken over. I want to shovel a lot of it out. It needs to be cleaned out anyway. It looks terrible, but I want to shovel some of it out. And I'm not sure what else, but I'm sure there's all kinds of things we could do, but at least if we get those two done, we'll feel like we've made some real progress. It's a mess, Matt.
Yeah. It is.
Other
junky folks.
We are kind of junky. One other thing I forgot to mention about the greenhouse that Matt's going to have to work on is out in the front, sometime during the winter, just the little awning, some of the plastic kind of come loose there. I'm not sure what caused that or what happened. Anyway, we're not going to take all the plastic off and redo it. That might be something we have to do next year. But he's going to try just taping that back up so that it doesn't get any worse than it is right now. And it won't affect actually the greenhouse. It's just the little awning out there. So he's got his ladder out here. He's going to work on just using some Gorilla Tape and hopefully patch it up enough just to make it one more season. The first step of cleaning up, it's going to be really nice to get all these tables that we've used for so many years that are, like I said, breaking down, get them out, and then we can actually take care of the ground, the floor of the greenhouse. But the first thing is I'm going to be really ruthless going through all of my containers that we start like our tomatoes in. If you are a long-time follower, you know last year me and Corey messed up the cups, and Matt says that was part of the reason, is that we'd used them so many times. We had so many different things wrote on them. So I'm going to be really ruthless about getting rid of them and getting rid of some of the other junk just to make things more streamlined. I guess you would say I am Pap and Granny's daughter. I like to hold on to stuff thinking that I might just use that. I might use that. I might use that. And a lot of times what happens is it, turns out I never do use it, but it's always in my way with me thinking that I might use it someday. So I'm going to try to be really ruthless and get rid of stuff that needs to be got rid of. Pass it on to somebody else that could use it. Definitely not waiting for that one day that they can use it. They can use it right now. So if there's anything worth donating, we'll definitely donate it. And then get rid of all those cups that Matt blames on him not having his Cherokee purples last year. Sound good to you, Matt?
Whatever it takes to get me them growing back again is what I'm for.
That's what he's for. I've already told him he's got to be in charge of those tomatoes this year, for sure. Yes, I have here's a prime example. Do you want to show that? This is actually you probably recognize what it is. It's for in the graveyard. It's for Pap's grave. It was on Pap's grave. It had a wreath or something. And then I thought, I seen it after when we were cleaning up and all that. So that's how long it's been here, probably, is that long. I thought, you know what? That would be great for something to grow up, some kind of vine.
That's a great candidate for the landfill.
And I think I did let peas or something grow up at the first year. But then after that, of course, I've not done that. But I've thought I might do that someday. Well, Matt's taken it. It's gone now. Looks so much better, so much better. Got rid of a lot of stuff, cleaned up all the grass that we'd left from last year, and I think it looks a lot better. Matt built this greenhouse in, I don't know, Matt, do you remember when you built it, 2010 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, it's just very simple, made out of PVC pipe, and I can link to the blog post where he told how to make it, how he made it, and he looked at some and just come up with this on his own, but it's very similar to others that you see. And over the years, we've had to redo the plastic 3 times? Twice.
This is the third piece of plastic.
Or this is the third piece of plastic. But the very first piece, that's really not telling you much, we put on the wrong kind of plastic. So the first year it worked great, but by the following summer the plastic was just in shreds, blowing up the mountain. It was gone. So we used the wrong kind of plastic. So actually if we'd used the right kind, I guess this would just be the second plastic that had been put on it. So a lot of people ask us why we don't plant stuff in it in the wintertime. Well, living on the north side of the mountain, this is the middle of the day, and maybe you can tell from the video, it's not very, there's not much sun hitting it, in other words, this time of the year. Sun does, as the spring gets closer and closer, the sun begins to get in here and hit it more. But during the winter, the sun don't really hit it at all much. So we can't really grow anything much in it in the winter, and we've actually never tried. Maybe we could grow some lettuces or something like that, but I think we'd still have to cover them even in here because the ground freezes in here. There's just not enough sunshine for it to warm up during the day. But this is a good example of kind of a make-do thing because Matt and, we'd never built a greenhouse before. We didn't really know what we was doing. We didn't have one. And Matt kind of just made it. We'd never had one before, I meant to say, and Matt just kind of made it up as he went, and we certainly could have done a better job, of course, with using the wrong plastic that first year. But even like the ground, from the very beginning, we should have put down some kind of like a foundation or at least a good layer of rock, of gravel. But on the other hand, it's really served us well all these years, and we start all our tomatoes in here. We used to start our peppers in here and cabbage and things like that, but now we do some of that inside, but then eventually we do bring them out here once it gets warm enough, and then they finish their growth until we're ready to put them in the ground out here in the greenhouse. So it has really served us well, even though we kind of didn't know what we was doing when we built it.
Well, at the time, you couldn't beat the cost.
Oh yeah, that's true. Matt says at the time you couldn't beat the cost of it.
I built this whole thing for $300.
It was $300, Matt says in the beginning.
I mean, that's plastic, the frame, the fan, and all.
Yeah.
We used some of the wood was reclaimed off of my mother's house. Before she moved here, that's where this colored wood, that's where it came from.
Yeah, I'd forgot that. The
gray looking wood there.
Matt's talking about this gray. I'd forgot about that. That was a piece of wood. Matt did some remodeling for Miss Cindy in Black Mountain before she moved out here, and that was the color of her house in Black Mountain. So that was some of the stuff that come from there. So some of it was just reclaimed, the wood part. Of course, we had to buy the PVC and the plastic. Now you're gonna see if you can fix the tore part.
I'm trying to
let it limp along another year.
Yeah.
Still got moisture from the frost this morning on it. Matt's trying to dry it off. Matt was saying you can't beat Gorilla Tape. It does come in handy.
Sure does. It's an odd place for that to tear.
What do you think happened to it?
I don't know, it's kind of dry cracked and rotted right there, but it's just seems like it would be out there where it's got more tension on it.
Yeah.
Maybe been wind maybe done it. But this will get us by this year.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm gonna have to go talk to the union president.
Okay.
Are you working me past lunch?
You coming fed?
It would help me probably to miss a meal or two.
Well, I heard you ate 2 breakfasts, so.
I kind of did do that, yeah.
Ahead of the game there. Ahead of the allotted meals.
I had cornmeal mush and a ham sandwich and coffee. That's crazy. Yeah, I'll be able to miss lunch then, oughtn't I?
Yeah, you ought to be able to work straight through. Cornmeal mush and ham ought to sustain you. Not you, though. Not your appetite of a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, I don't know what my problem is, but I got to eat every 2. I'm like a baby. I got to eat every 2 hours. Alright, I believe that'll do it.
As we've been out over the last couple of days working, I've noticed daffodils peeking up in different places, especially in the sheltered areas where the sun hits. This is right in front of my kitchen window, so it's kind of hugged up against the house. But there's a sure sign of spring being on the way. This is our next chore of the day, is to clean out this flower bed. You can see all those, if you can see the little cottony looking things, all those that are laid over, all those stems, that is that Japanese anemone. I see back there in the back some green. That's some of the yarrow that I have planted there. But I really wanted that to be a place where I could put a lot of annuals. They're just so pretty when you come back to feed the chickens or back in this part of the garden. And it was beautiful last year. It was beautiful the year before too. But the Japanese anemones, which have literally been there for probably 15 years, in the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, but especially the last 2 years, have just decided to take over. Took them that long to get started, I guess. We're going to see if we can move it all and then maybe dig some of them up. So this is the seed head of the anemone. Kind of looks like cotton. And I guess that's how they reseed themselves, but I'm not sure if, probably one of you know, there's some seeds down in there, if that's how they spread or if they spread by roots. It seems like just by their growth habit that maybe it's by the roots, but maybe not. Maybe it's by the seeds. Now that we got it cleaned out, you can see some of the stuff that's still in here. This is one of the Japanese anemones there. We didn't get them all. They're still in here along the back. I know we didn't even get the ones in the front. That's a little spring flower trying to come up. Here's some lamb's ear. It did really good right here. It was really pretty, and this part of the flower bed is right up against the house and it gets the evening sun. So there's a lot of things that just will not do good do good right here because they just bake. But this did wonderful. It was beautiful all summer long. You can see it's made it through the winter, kind of looking a little raggedy, but it'll spruce back up once warm weather gets here. And this is one of the plants that I got from the Satterfields last year. The other thing we have growing in here was the green that I could see through all the stuff, and it's the yarrow. So it's made it good. I think I bought a different, this is like a white color, but it seems like I bought a different color from the Satterfields. I'm not sure though. I'll have to wait till this year till they bloom to remember what I did. Has a wonderful, wonderful scent, though. And of course, you can use it medicinally. You can do research about that. I've never used it medicinally. I'm not sure about Corey and Katie. I'd have to ask them to see if they have. But it's a nice plant to have because of the unique leaves, and then the bloom is pretty too. Matt took the anemones that we dug up there on the bank, just put them on the bank, and we're literally going to do no more than cover them with mulch and leave them, and they'll either make it or they won't make it. But maybe at least a few of them will. It would be pretty to have them on the bank. I'm anxious to see this spring, when warm weather gets here, how many of my goal last year was to put irises on the bank in front of all of the raised beds. I didn't get to do that because of Miss Cindy being sick, but I did manage to do at least the first couple, so it'd be interesting to see if any of those come back or thrive and actually bloom or anything this year, and if they do, then hopefully they'll continue to spread over the years. Matt's making us some hot chocolate. I think it's about ready. I was real warm when we were working. Once I quit working, I got cold. Matt's probably all right, but nifty little stove. Keep enough for you now. Don't give it all to me.
I'll just drink mine out of that.
Yeah, there you go. Smells good. Feels good in my cold hands.
Put your hand on that. Get them on.
Yeah, get them on. Oh, goodness. Well, we managed to get a lot done. We could do more, but at least we got the greenhouse straightened out and ready for the gravel Matt's going to put in it. And then I got those anemones moved, and hopefully I'm already dreaming of that flower bed. Last year, I did plant other things in it. It's just that the anemones crowded them out. But I had some, what are you?
You mean you overcrowded your planting?
Oh, no. I'm saying that they overcrowded.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. The anemones were already there. Anyway, I planted some dwarf sunflowers. The first ones I got from Satterfield's. Little Quincy convinced me to buy them, and they were so beautiful that then I just found a pack of seeds, and they turned out so beautiful. So I want to grow those again. And they were with some cosmos, and the cosmos were like a magenta color, and they were supposed to be a dwarf too. They were not. They were mislabeled, or it was just wrong. They grew to be giant till they fell over. But the combination of those two was so pretty, really lovely. So I'm excited about that. I guess you're excited about the flowers too.
Yeah, if you are, I am.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's good. That's great.
That's the correct answer?
Yeah, that's the correct answer. Yeah. I know you're happy though about the greenhouse.
Yeah, I'm glad to have that thing. Gosh, it's just like everything else. If there's a space around here, it gets filled up with junk.
Something. Yeah. Yeah.
My goodness, that's warm.
But we got it cleaned out, and Matt's going to try to get some gravel next week, and hopefully get the supplies he needs to redo the sides of some of our beds out here with the tin.
Yeah, I'm going to start with one and just kind of figure out how I'm going to do it with that one. Once I get the little system down, then I'll get the stuff to do these other small ones here too, because we got lots and lots of tin. It'd be good to.
That one back there probably could make it another year. This one, Matt pointed out, has nothing around it anymore, and then this one's pretty much gone too.
Didn't you want them to match?
Oh yeah, I want them all. I'm just saying if we don't, you know me, I just worry about whether or not it works, not matchy or.
Well, that's kind of how I am. I don't
not
care.
necessarily how the aesthetic, I guess you would say. I mean, I love for things to look nice, but I'm okay if it just works.
The pretty factor?
Yeah, I'm okay if it just works. I have really enjoyed the past several years, though. It's like when me and Matt were first married and we moved up here, we didn't have very much yard at all, even less than we have now. and I just was crazy about flowers, and I planted them everywhere I could plant them. And we still gardened with Pap and Granny, so we did that. But then once I realized at some point, you know, I should be spending all my energy growing food up here too. And then once I started with that, it's like I just forgot about the flowers. Now I still had some around everywhere, you know, but I just didn't care about them and just focused only on the growing the food. And then a few years back, I realized, well, I could do both. I could do both. So I've really enjoyed, like, whether it's putting the nasturtiums at our gardens back here in the corners, or, you know, putting a sunflower here or there. I think something's falling on us. Anyway, I've really enjoyed that. And of course the you know, bees and insects, they love it too, so it is a good thing to do. I was really excited last year about I wanted one long row of zinnias and whatever else too in front of our winter squash in the big garden. I thought that would just be so pretty when you drive up. Well, the first ones I planted, we were, you know, staying with Miss Sandy and caring for her, and it come this, I mean, a torrential rainstorm. You remember that?
Yeah.
Water got out in the creek, it's all the way up in our backyard, and of course we knew it was probably doing that over here too. And it just it did, and it washed in our driveway, but it got in the garden, and just that whole row was gone, just disappeared. It was just a ditch down through there. So I did replant them after that, and they did eventually bloom, but it was all the way in the fall before they did. Anyway, so I might try that again this year. I usually try to put some sunflowers at the back of that garden. I don't remember if I did that last year, but once you put them, once you grow them, sometimes they'll just reseed themselves. So I think I had a couple back there, but I don't know if I necessarily planted any of them. Anyway, really exciting thinking about the garden. Matt's thinking about the beans and taters. That's what he's thinking about.
Yeah, I want to
And
grow
corn.
I want to grow a big long row of taters down there in that big garden too, like we used to. I'll say work you to death, but boy, they're good. I just ain't nothing like, I mean, you can buy them and eat them, but there ain't nothing like digging them up and eating them fresh.
I'd like to try to grow sweet potatoes, but I don't know if we'll do that this year. We have in the past up here at our house, just like a little row, not a lot, and they did pretty good. I'd like to grow some of the white ones.
Yeah, they're good.
But we'll see if that happens or not, but maybe we could do a big long row down there. Of course, it's not time yet. We've still got lots of cold weather between now and time to plant things like beans and taters before that, but thinking about the beans and the corn, be a few more months before we can do that. But it's exciting to get out and about.
It's get outside on these warm winter days and, you know, turn the dirt over and clean up and just kind of get ready.
Yeah.
If you do a little bit all along, you ain't got so much to do at one time when the time gets here.
Yeah. That's true.
That's the way I like to look at it anyway. It's better than sitting in the house.
And this year we can really enjoy doing that because of Matt getting to be here with me. I'm so thankful for that. And I enjoyed it the past 2 years. I've really enjoyed that. Like, I didn't have to wait. I could kind of prep what me and Matt was going to do, and then he'd be here on Saturday for us just to work all day long and get it done. But it'll be really nice this year to have Matt here too.
What'll be nice is you won't have to just kill yourself on the one day of the week like we used to have to always do. You know, we can do a little bit along and you don't work yourself to death out one time.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, even like the two, we could go on and work more today, but we got something, we accomplished something. We made a showing, as Pap would say. We made a showing. So in our recent video where Matt did turn over all the beds, and we've had really cold nights since then, so hopefully, you know, that'll help with the bugs. And he plans to do it again between now and spring of the year, maybe even 2 more times, and hopefully that'll make a real difference. But a lot of people we're kind of kidding about his little tiller, that he needed a bigger tiller. Well, he has a bigger tiller, and that's what we used. But we were on the fast speed, so it's hard to see, I know. But that's what he was using on the bigger gardens down there. That little one, though, is perfect for up here, where you can just set it in the bed and start tilling. and we had some people ask the brands of them too. The big one was actually Pabst. It was the one that he used.
Yeah, somebody asked me in that video, and I told them it's a Troy built, and that's not correct. It's a yard machine. It's just an old, I think Home Depot sold that. I believe that's where we went and got it. Golly, 17, 18 years ago.
Long time ago. Yeah.
And it's always worked good. It's slow as it can be, and I don't like that. I mean, I want to get it going like you would with a front tine tiller, but for whatever reason, I don't remember we bought that one. And it's the only one still standing out of, we've had 2 or 3 since then, you know, trying to buy other ones, front tine tillers and stuff that'll, you can get stuff done faster. I mean, they're a little harder on you and they beat you to death, and all of them broke down and are gone, and that one's still going. So I guess that's what we're stuck with. I was going to buy a new one. I've been trying to buy a new one, but I can't find anything that I think's
sturdy enough
worth having, because what we got is, everywhere we've got to till is pretty rocky. And even that big garden down there, it's right against the creek, and there's underneath that soil is just like river rock, creek rocks, big polished, big stones, big as a cantaloupe, lots of them. And them other tillers we had, they wouldn't stand it. And for one thing, they don't make them now like they once did. And if they do, I would wish somebody would let me know what they are, because I'd sure buy them.
Where to find them.
But the ones I've looked at and tried to buy here in the last year or two, is just, I look at them and I just won't buy them, just because I know they won't last. They ain't gonna make it. Not for what we've got. So we just keep that one going. The tires stay flat. It smokes a little. The shrouds are gone off of it, but it still runs and still tills. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep going with it.
Still does it.
Right.
Matt's using his little spoon. I'll show you. He made that many years ago, and I was saying how nice it was. He said, it's not nice, it's not really well made, but I said, well, you've used it a long time, and he said, yeah, and I said, well, that's all that matters, right? It don't have to be perfect.
It's just good to keep in a pack in the woods or in a little cook kit like this. At least you got a spoon. I've got other spoons too, but I like wooden ones better.
One of those make-do kind of things, like I was talking about the greenhouse.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it just matters if it works. And the older I get, the more I appreciate that. When I was younger, I didn't always buy into the, having to have what everybody else had, but I have to be honest, a little bit of that I did. But the older I get, the more I realized if it just works, that's all that matters. Don't really matter what it looks like. I think his spoon's adorable, but he don't think it's that great. But all that matters is it actually works.
It works.
Yeah.
I just carved that out of a piece of poplar, I think it was. A dead piece of just poplar limb.
Kind of like I was saying about the greenhouse, it could definitely be improved from the day we built it. Matt built it, it could have been improved. But here it is all these years later, and it's still working for us.
Yeah.
So.
And we may build a new one sometime in the future, but it ain't gonna be this year.
No, that'd be nice. It'd be nice if we could put it in a place where there was sunshine all year round, so then we could use it.
Right.
You could really start all your seeds in it then. Even like cabbage and things like that, that's early, that's a little bit frost tolerant. So, and we've done that before, planted them in there. It just takes them longer, and then you get them put out later. And then like for things like cabbage and things like that, they don't, it's better if you can get them out earlier. I think for the past 2 years that I've managed to grow carrots, miracle, I still can't believe it. I planted them in February, so it's won't be long.
Better get busy.
I better get busy, on that, figuring out where I want to put them.
Yep.
And I need to get busy starting my cabbage plants too, and my peppers. The tomatoes we'll just do in there because we wait till later, because we definitely can't plant them, or the peppers either. Peppers are just slower, but definitely not till at least the first week in May.
Right.
It's so, when you're out and about like this, it's so tempting to go ahead and plant stuff. You're just anxious about it. And last year I teased, and I still think I'm going to come out here somewhere and real soon put like a cucumber seed or something, and then just see if it actually sprouts, like mark it. I said sometimes because volunteers do so much better than the ones you plant that, you know, makes you think, well, I'll just plant the whole garden in January and then just wait till the soil warms up and let it sprout and come up, you know. Problem is it would sprout and then there'd be a frost and it would kill it.
Yeah.
Is the problem with that. Anyway, it's tempting to not want to just jump right in, but we usually can contain ourselves. But it's nice if you plant the early spring things, if you go ahead and, you know, if you've got lettuces and cabbage and beets and carrots and I'm sure I'm leaving something else. Kale and all those greens, yeah, all those kind of things. Radishes. Turnips, yeah, that can stand a little cold. That helps us get me more than Matt, helps my spring fever stay at bay for waiting on the day that I can actually plant tomatoes and cucumbers and all that.
My spring fever's turkey season.
Yeah. I was telling Matt, though, I don't remember if it was a comment on YouTube or a comment on my blog. I think it was on the blog, but I could be wrong. But someone saying that I think it was their father-in-law, that he was just crazy about gardening and, you know, just couldn't wait, even though he knew better. You know, he'd want to plant stuff early, and that every year he just had what he called his frost garden, and it was just a little small area, but he would plant stuff in it knowing full well and good the frost, it probably come up and the frost would kill it. But then every once in a while, it survived, so I thought that was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Frost garden.
Yeah.
Boy, this feels, it's good, but it feels so good on my hands. I put on a pair of gloves that were in the greenhouse, and the first pair I had on, I'd laid them out here, and then I went looking for another pair and found one of my other pairs in there, and they were wet, and I put them on, and my hands got so cold. And then I finally had to take them off, and then Matt showed me where I had left my other ones, still laying out here. But this feels good.
Yeah.
Matt doesn't need to worry about gloves. His hands are so tough. His hide is. You don't hardly ever wear them. You wear them maybe to prevent cold if you're hunting. But as far as working,
my hands get cold easy. But if I'm doing anything, I just can't wear them. I ain't gonna wear them. And I've done that long enough. My hands are.
You can feel
pretty. I mean, they ain't like they used to be.
Oh, they're pretty though. When I feel of them, they're tough.
But they're, you know.
They're not soft like mine.
And they'll be like paps. They'll probably always be there. There's places of callus that won't never go away probably. But that's good. Yeah, that's why I want them.
Reminds me of shaking hands with men at church when you'd shake hands with, and I could think of the ones like Melvin Beavers and LC and Pap and different ones, but it's just almost like shaking a piece of firewood, stove wood, because they're just hands. Tough, big hands that worked hard all the time. I mean, literally, Pap's and yours is like that. Skin so tough that like mine, like paper cut. I get paper cuts and stuff, and you'd really have to like make an effort to cut through Matt's hide or like you said, I guess it's just a solid callus. Everything is calloused.
Yeah.
Instead of like I might have a callus like where I play the bass or something like that, but not all of my hands. But yeah. Anyway, this sure feels good after getting my hands so cold.
It's pretty good on that little stove, ain't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
Once again, it's cooked outside. It's just a smidgen better.
Yeah, something about being outside. If you could have a bologna sandwich, peanut butter and jelly, and it just tastes so good. Talking about tillers reminds me of, I think Matt shared in the video recently where he wanted to build a barn. It's because we never had nowhere. Pap didn't have a barn, didn't never have anywhere to put the tillers unless you, like Matt said, put them up under our porch or
we used to cover them up down there in that big garden with just a piece of whatever, a piece of tin or a piece of plastic or whatever.
Sometimes you've probably seen that maybe in people's yards as you drive by their gardens, maybe in their tillers there, and there's a piece of tin, maybe with a piece of wood on top of it to hold it in place. Anyway, we would do something like that. And then every spring when it's time to start tilling, and Pap never had a tractor, he just used tillers. He had maybe 2 or 3, but then you'd have to crank them and see what needed to be fixed on them, or get them started. And then once you got them started, they were fine. He basically had the same ones for years.
Yeah, the whole time I was with him, other than that one we bought.
And that one's pretty old now, but other than that, he had the same 2 old tillers. Anyway, well, one year we were down there. I think it was me and him and Paul, and he's uncovering it and trying to figure out, to crank it or whatever, and it was like somebody had cut, what was it? The
spark plug wire.
Spark plug wire. And so they were like, they couldn't figure out who would have done that and what happened. But it was like it was cut, not like it had decayed or anything like that. Well, then of course they go to the other tiller they're going to rob one from it to use, and it was like that too. And then was like, Pap's like, what kind of person? And of course this is just right here where we all live, and he said, reckon some kid was down here like swinging something around and accidentally done it, 'cause he knew none of his grandkids would purposely do anything like that. From the very beginning, Paul said it's a dog. A dog did it. And me and Daddy were like, a dog wouldn't do that. Why would a dog bother a tiller? And you know how your mind does in times like that. I was like looking around in the woods, like thinking somebody's here, somebody's come down here and bothering our stuff. And Paul kept saying, I'm telling you it was a dog. And me and Daddy both were like, no, why would a dog bother a tiller? And anyway, I don't remember if seems like you come in and maybe y'all figured out how to get something fixed and actually work it. But anyway, several days later, then we found out it was a dog, because it was my brother Steve's dog Molly, because then she tore up his lawnmower, and it was then we figured out like anything that run, she was against it, like she hated it. So it really was a dog. Paul took great pleasure in telling me and Daddy, like, told you so, told you.
I don't know how the dog knew what to get a hold of to keep it from running, but it did.
Poor old Molly.
Yeah, she was a mountain cur, I believe.
Yeah.
She lived to be old. She was here up until how long she been gone? A year or two?
A year, I guess, maybe 2. Time goes by so fast.
And she was old and just barely could get around, but she's still real friendly. She had the habit of, like a lot of curs do, they walk up to you kind of sideways and kind of, I don't know, almost slinking and kind of wiggling, and you could almost like see a smile on their face. Mm-hmm. She was always that way.
Mm-hmm. The dog they had before Molly was Bill, Wild Bill, and he was Wild Bill. Mm-hmm. So what kind of dog was he? Some kind of terrier?
He was like a mountain feist and terrier mix, I think.
I've never seen a dog like Bill. I think I have a photo of him, so I'll share it with you. I know I do. But he was a character, wasn't he?
He was. He was strange. He was deathly afraid of some things. And then
wouldn't back down to
stuff
a
that
grizzly
he should be
bear.
afraid of, he was not.
Yeah.
So,
wouldn't back down to no matter how many. If you live in an area like we do in a holler where there's lots of dogs, there's dog fights, and it's kind of like it's very common. Chickens and everybody do it. Some of them gang up together, and then so Bill was an outcast, and he knew how far he could go down in the holler, and then how he could sneak around. But if they come in his territory, he would not back down, even though they were bigger and meaner and all that.
There'd be 2 or 3 of them have him down, rolled on his back, and he wouldn't quit.
And he'd rise to fight another day, wouldn't he?
Yeah. And he lived to be real long.
He did, yeah.
He was like 17.
Yeah.
He was scared to death of thunder.
That's what I was going to say.
Storms.
He was the best indicator of storms. So, and the funny thing is, he had a dog house, and they have a porch and all that. But any time it was going to storm, he come to our house and got on our front porch. I don't know if it's because it was higher up. I don't know what his thinking was, because he had plenty of places at home to be. But like maybe in the summer, you'd be out and about doing stuff, and then, not just blue sky, nothing, and I'd see Bill behind one of my rocking chairs on the porch. I'd be like, it's going to storm. He was perfect indicator. Yeah. And it would be a blue sky, but if you seen him on the porch, you knew. Yeah. Somehow he sensed what was coming, and he'd be out there on that.
He never, as far as I know, he never spent one night in the house.
Well, he spent one night in our basement.
Well, yeah, and when it was really, really cold.
And I felt sorry for him, and he made such a mess that I never done that again. It wasn't just that he made one mess, it was that he had some kind of explosive problem that night.
Yeah. But in
lots of areas. But it's funny, we've had several dogs, but Wilma, we had a little beagle, Wilma, and I guess Bill was alive then, wasn't
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and so she, what would you call it, tolerated him.
Yeah.
And then we had Ruby Sue. Ruby Sue was she was a rat terrier who looked like Bill, black and white, and he was black and white, Ruby Sue was. Wilma was a beagle, so she was outside all the time, but Ruby Sue looked like a miniature Bill, kind of. I mean, slightly different, but still, that's what it puts you in the mind of. And she couldn't stand any animal. Ruby couldn't. She couldn't stand many people besides us, but she tolerated Bill. And and we always would tease and say it's because he looks like her.
Yeah, you could tell she didn't much like him.
But she'd just be still.
She'd kind of side-eye him and
yeah.
have this perturbed look on her face like, I wished he'd leave, but I reckon it's all right that he's here. And it was like that for years.
Yeah, but any other dog that come, including Molly, when Molly come along, she would have a fit. And she was little bitty. She couldn't do nothing, but she thought she could. She would send Molly back down the road, though. Mm-hmm. Molly just didn't know all she needed to do. She was twice as big, 3 times as big.
Yeah.
But anyway, funny how animals take on those personalities. But Wild Bill was something.
It's a Bill.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah, my niece April, when you'd ask her what his name was or whatever, she'd say, "It's a Bill."
Yes, instead of saying "it is Bill,"
say,
"it's Bill," she'd say, "it's a Bill."
It's a Bill.
So we started calling him "it's a Bill."
Yeah.
All the time.
But he done some of the craziest things. If he could pick up a piece of trash or something, if he found something laying around, he'd bring it to you, just all over shaking.
Yeah, if he hadn't seen you that day or whatever, and you go down the garden and he'd see you, he'd go find something to bring
to you.
And it might be a rotted piece of food or a bone or a piece of hide, but it was just something he was bringing to you.
Or a piece of paper or trash he'd found that blew off somebody's
he'd bring
truck
you
or something.
A plastic bottle, but he was just proud to bring you
something. A rock even. Yeah. He'd even bring you a rock. Yeah.
He's something else.
He was funny. So now that we've talked about dogs, I know a lot of you are going to ask, why don't Matt have a dog? Well, Matt has Olive. A lot of the time, Olive is here.
It's a grand dog.
Yeah, Matt loves Olive.
I like all dogs mostly.
Yeah, Matt is a dog person. And we had Ruby Sue for 14 years, and we had Wilma for, I guess, about 5 years before the coyotes got her. And before that, we had Hank and Sally and different ones, but maybe we'll have another one someday. But right now, Matt's got Olive. Now he's got the basement puma too. He has to take care of.
Yeah.
So he's got pets.
Yeah. Need about a half a dozen hunting dogs.
Yeah, well, I hear when you said that, I heard the beagle up here. Did you hear that?
I heard that.
Beagle, the neighborhood holler beagle right now. I hear him during the night and hear him. I keep thinking it's going to happen to you like what happened to Wilma, but so far he's evaded the coyotes.
I heard him about a week ago, pretty close on the ridge over there, and I walked out on the front porch. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and he was really burning something up, and I could hear coyotes in the top of the pasture up there howling, and I thought,
you're may get it.
Yeah, that's exactly how you're gonna be ended right there, but
so far
apparently it's not happened yet.
Yeah, but that's what happened to Wilma. She was chasing probably a rabbit and doing her little bark, and I guess they heard her and they come for her. Wilma was really sweet. She was a funny dog too. She wouldn't eat in front of you. You could lay down a steak and she wouldn't touch it till you left.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't want to come in the house either, but she would. She got to where she would come through our foyer and then down the basement steps on cold nights. She got to where she would do that. But if you tried to get her to stop in the living room or something, like to pet her, she didn't like it. She just wanted to go straight downstairs and then straight back out.
She knew where the wood stove was.
Yeah, she knew that, but she didn't care nothing about being in the house with us.
No.
I mean, she was sweet though, sweet.
Yeah, she's very, very good-natured dog.
Yeah, sweet.
Most beagles are.
Yeah.
They're good dogs.
Yeah. Well, I guess you really have come unfed now.
Ain't no need in eating now. It's getting too close to supper.
You mean you're just not going to eat?
Not till supper.
I can't hardly believe that. Are you on a diet?
On a hunger strike. I'm kind of mad because I didn't get lunch. So I'm just gonna wait till supper and see how
I
you like that.
offered. I said, "Do you want to go in and eat? Are you unfed?" You said, "No, I can make
That
it."
was about 1 o'clock, and I don't want to eat big and ruin my supper.
Okay.
So I'll just not eat.
Okay.
Do me good, miss a meal.
We thank you for coming with us today and visiting with us while we got the greenhouse straightened out, or at least halfway straightened out. We hope we're going to do something with the floor and got one of our beds cleaned out. I'm so excited about this growing season, especially being able to grow corn for the first time. And I know Matt's excited about being able to be home and
Absolutely.
be part of all of it. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia, which is a whole lot of making a garden to feed your family. You really ain't going to eat?
No.
Wow.
Wonders never cease, do they?
No, I know. Can't hardly believe that. We moved to get out of the sunshine, and it followed us right here, which I should have had a brain and realized it's going to. Should have just stayed right there. Oh well.
Yeah. You can do your magic editing. You didn't drink your stuff. You must not have liked it much.
I'm still drinking it.
Boy, it's got to be cold by now.
No, it's not. Boy, these mugs hold heat. I was looking at the lemongrass there to see. That's the one I wanted to put in one of those that you got me for Christmas. But I don't know that it... People told me it would come back, so I'll just have to wait and see if it will. If not, it won't matter. But I want to put that hyssop in it. It's coming back. It's got little bitty plant, little bitty at the bottom of it, the base. That was just one of my favorite things last year. The blooms, the bees just loved it. And it bloomed all summer long. It's really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
We do any beans down there, or will we do any, what do you think, or not? Just do all the, it's just so tempting because we've got all those great beans and peas from Debbie. But we can't just put everything down there. Because then I'm thinking watermelons and, yeah, I need to quit thinking, don't I? You could let me have one watermelon plant, though, and just see if it does any
You
good.
can plant anything you want to, but...
Just see. I
I'll
could
just-
plant the watermelon in the corn.
Oh, yeah, that'd be... Just throw cornfield beans in there, too, and some whatever else we can get tangled up in.
I could plant them somewhere, maybe. I don't know, just one or two.
Well, you can plant anything you want to.
I won't plant many. And then we got to figure out how to keep the animals out of all of it.
Yeah, I like the freezer method.
And well, I do too, but you're going to have to make you a cot down there to sleep.
That'll be all right. I'll just spend every night down there in a hammock on the creek
Yeah.
in the summertime.
You probably sleep pretty good. Might have some coons visiting you.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people, we never did, that I can remember, have trouble with coons in that garden.
Too many hound dogs in this holler.
But now you get right down out of here and like down at Tim's.
Oh, it's like he catches
They'll
like
break-
20 a year.
They'll break every stalk he's got down and get the corn
I
off
think
of it.
last year it's like 20 he trapped or
Yeah.
something. I mean, it's crazy. So,
And
yeah.
they's a right smart of them right here.
Yeah. Well, just depend on the
They just
holler dogs to keep them at bay.
And they'll be perfectly good and fine and safe until they get in my corn.
Mm-hmm. I know. Those animals that wear masks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad we got this done.
Yeah, me too. It looks good. The greenhouse looks way better.
Yeah.
That pile of trash over there does not.
No, we just moved the trash from one place to another, didn't we?
Yeah.
Have to take it off.
Yep.
We did get a lot done last year, even though with all the stuff we had going on. I love that we got, of course we didn't build them, but the steps up and down to the basement. And then you built those steps. Those are just, and all the raised beds, just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So we did get more. I mean, even though it was a strange gardening year, we kind of planted everything and then walked away and left it. It's basically what we did.
And it still produced pretty
It
good.
did, yeah, it did. But this year, hopefully, we'll have more time to invest in it.